Yatsui Yusuke is an antisocial junior high student that loves playing video games. While discussing with his teacher regarding his plans for high school, Yatsuya is suddenly transported into another world, but is surprised to see two of his classmates use Shindo, a popular magazine model, and Kyusa Heikazaki, a sickly girl who often skips classes. The Game Master, or GM, a large man with missing the upper half of his face, suddenly appears and explains the rules commands are given and must be cleared. The first task is to complete the village chief's task. A new person will join their team every week until there are 10 of them. He then reveals their classes: Shindo, a wind wizard, and Hakazaki, a sword-wielding warrior. He then spins a wheel of fortune to decide Yatsuya's rank, which lands on farmer and Hakazaki disappointment. Afterwards, Yatsuya asks Shindo for an explanation. She replies she was brought to this world, first completed quests all on her own, and returned to the real world safely. She was then tasked by the GM to befriend Hakazaki. The next time, Shindo returned to the other world. Hakazaki was already there. In Yatsuya's case, they were tasked with being left alone with him. On the way to the village, they are attacked by a band of goblins. Yatsuya tries to attack the goblins with his sickle, but his weapon breaks instantly. Shindo attempts to use her wind magic, but it only summons a small gust of wind. Yatsuya pins his hopes on Hakazaki, but she is too afraid to get close to the goblins, and she throws her sword at them instead, to no avail. Yatsuya tries attacking with his hoe as a last resort, but even that is destroyed and he is killed. He is afraid at first, but finds that he is revived after 30 seconds, and he yells at Shindo for not telling him that this would happen sooner. He then has an idea and tells Shindo to kick up a gust of wind, blinding the goblin, allowing him to stab it point blank with his broken hoe. While resting at camp that night, Yatsuya asks Shindo what would have happened if they all died at the same time. Shindo says that if that were the case, then all of them would also die in real life. To Yatsuya's horror, he asks what the reward for completing the quests are, and she replies that you are allowed to ask the GM one question. Shindo and Hakazaki ask the GM, "Why me? And who are you?" With the GM answering this was commissioned by someone you know and I'm from the future, respectively. Yatsuya takes first watch and takes the opportunity to investigate the surrounding area, but when he returns, he finds a troll that's killed Hakazaki and is eating Shindo. He grabs Hakazaki and runs, but Shindo does not revive, presumably because she was eaten. The two arrive at the village where they are hailed as heroes, and the village chief asks them to kill the troll. Yatsuya is initially despondent, but he later smiles ominously, remarking that this place is still better than Tokyo. A day before they arrive at the village, Shindo, Hakazaki, and Yatsuya discuss what they want to do for high school. Hakazaki says she'd like to study medicine so that she can help others like her, but Yatsuya does not pay attention. Back in the present, Yatsuya goes into the forest at night to kill goblins so that he can level up, but he misses the final goblin just as he is about to level up to 10. He wonders if there was any way to switch his class. While touching a log point, a magic circle that when touched replays memories of the area, he gets an alert that Hakazaki died. He looks towards the village and sees it aflame. He realizes that the troll could be responsible, and he rushes over, not knowing what would happen if they failed the quest. He arrives at the village and touches a log point showing a memory of Hakazaki practicing swinging her sword, as she tells a village boy that the reason she is trying so hard is because in the real world she must undergo several expensive medical procedures to stay alive, and she doesn't want to be a burden on anyone. It then shows her attempting to defend the village from the troll, but she is killed. The memory moves Yatsuya, who reflects that he does not care about anyone at all, both in game and in real life. He runs away from the troll, but quickly realizes that he cannot outrun it forever. Right before he is crushed, he spots the goblin he wasn't able to kill earlier, and he throws his wooden shaft, killing it and leveling him up to 10. Time stops and the GM appears. He spins the job wheel again, which lands on Chef, much to Yatsuya's exasperation. However, he now has a knife and has gained anatomical knowledge of certain monsters, including the troll. The game resumes and Yatsuya cuts through the troll's body, reviving Shindo and Hakazaki. They begin their counterattack, but the troll is too resilient. Yatsuya enters the troll's wound and stabs it from the inside, while Shindo blows a gust of wind into the troll's head, killing it. The GM appears again, and Yatsuya asks his question what we will do after we clear all 10 quests. The GM shows them a video of the three of them in the real world, where they battle a dragon atop a building in Tokyo. They return to the real world, where no time has passed at all. Shindo thanks Yatsuya for his help and she goes to her club, while Yatsuya walks Hakazaki home, where he awkwardly tries to maintain a conversation. He wonders that if he fails to complete the quests, then Tokyo, the city he hates so much, could be destroyed. Yatsu receives a call from the GM, telling him to hit on a girl. The outcome of their next quest: he is instructed to go into a nearby high school, where he finds a bespectacled girl being bullied and stripped by 3 other girls. He grabs their phones and destroys their belongings and escorts the girl home. He asks her why she was being bullied, and she says it was not bullying but revenge. While on a live stream, she said that she knew a girl that would only act cute with boys around, and her friend thought that she was talking about her. That night, Yatsuya is transported back to the game world, where as expected, the girl from earlier is also present. The GM appears behind her, revealing her name to be Yuka Takada. He spins the job wheel, and her job is Fire Wizard. The revival time has also been increased from 30 seconds to 40. He gives them their quest to explore 5% of the map while bringing cargo to a nearby town. While walking through the forest, a giant insect corpse falls from the sky, and a giant centipede emerges from its corpse. The centipede tosses pill bugs towards them, which kills them instantly, except for Hakazak, who has run away. Yatsuda identifies its weak spot on its back, and he begins cutting off its legs one by one until it can no longer move. He then helps Hakazaki swing her sword, killing it. As they camp for the night, Shindo, remembering her troubled past, asks Yatsuya to help her. Shindo reveals that when she was young, she was bullied, but she was helped by an older student whom she admired. However, the older student killed herself soon after, being a victim of bullying herself. When Shindo entered high school, she was once again bullied by teachers for being part of a biker gang family, but her friends defended her. She realized early on that her friends were her strength, and you can change your fate with your own hands. She asked Yatsuya to lend her his strength, while Hakazaki and Yuka overhear them. They arrive at the village they saved, but it is in ruins. A passing trader tells them it has been years since then. They learn from him that their target city, Reidorbo, is 3 months away on foot. He informs them of a martial art tournament to be held in the nearby town Kortnal, where the prize is 3 horses. However, on the way they are attacked by bandits. Yatsuya tries to fight back, but realizes that attacking humans causes their levels to drop, and they are forced to escape. But Shindo stays behind to fend them off, and she is captured. Yatsuya coldly suggests that he go to the martial arts tournament, while leaving Hakazaki and Yuka to rescue Shindo, which causes the 2 girls to think badly of him. The 2 girls go to rescue Shindo, but they are easily captured by the bandits. Yatsu is aware of his comrade's capture, and while killing goblins along the way, has sufficiently leveled up to get a new job. A creature wizard, he arrives at the martial arts tournament, but is defeated nearly instantly. He asks of the knight who defeated him, Kabul, if there was any way for him to get 3 horses for their quest. Yatsuga shares information with the local captain of the guard regarding the bandits' lair, but he says that he can only provide Yatsuya with a single horse. Afterwards, Kabul offers to train Yatsuya's swordsmanship, but he has a hard time having no talent for sports in the real world. Either that night, the city guards and Yatsuya attack the bandit camp, routing them, but the bandits release a huge berserker, which is able to match Kabul, but she soon grows tired. Yatsuya jumps in to save her and uses his creature magic to persuade the berserker to look behind him, distracting him long enough for Kabul to kill him. They rescue Hakazaki, Shindo, and Yuka, who are distraught to learn that Yatsuya died in the first round because their party only has a single horse. Kabul proposes that she and her guards escort them to raid Orbo, on the condition that upon arriving, they will retrieve their horses, and that Kabul will train them in swordplay. Yuka, who has lived her whole life trying to study medicine for her sickness and her mother, finds her identity and morals shaken as she observes the deaf around her. As the group camps for the evening, Yuka confides in Shindo about the deaths she witnessed earlier, while Yatsuya cooks for everyone. Kabul approaches them and says they should begin their training soon. Yatsuya explains that Kabul is a bit of an oddball. She loves to hack away at flesh, which she can do to the hair heroes since they revive anyway, which worries him and Yuka somewhat. When Kabul finishes training Hakazaki, they learn that goblins are in a nearby area, while Hakazaki doubles down on her training, wanting to be strong enough to protect everyone. The group later encounter another group of goblins, and the heroes advance to engage them, while the rest of the group do well. Hakazaki is initially hesitant to kill a goblin, and when she sees Kabul run towards her, she works up the courage to stab one. She tearfully breaks down, apologizing to the goblin for killing it. Later that night, Shindo congratulates Hakazaki for killing her first goblin. Hakazaki asks Kazuo why she enjoys cutting flesh so much, which he explains disturbing the heroes. The next day, they encounter a caravan being attacked by kobolds, so Yatsuya and Hakazaki go and intercept them. They are quickly overwhelmed by their superior numbers, but Hakazaki eventually works up the courage to fight back, luring in a kobold, then equipping her sword, near instantly killing it, but the rest of the group arrives in time to help them, and as they tend to the wounded. They find that the caravan was carrying pagans to be executed at Reidorbo, which causes Yatsuya to wonder if the people are the cargo they were supposed to bring as part of the quest, but if they do bring them, then they will be killed. They learn that the caravan is from the Dayak Empire, a tyrannical state that wants to take over the continent. Unsure if this incident is related to their quest, the heroes decide to bring the pagans and children over to Rey Dorbo and then save them from being executed, which still fulfills the conditions of bringing the cargo to the city. Yatsuya learns from a missionary, Fossil, that he hopes to have a boy. But Riri escape, he explains that the Dayak Empire has outlawed their religion. Art arrows after recent riots caused the destruction of images of King Dayak. They next talk to Canlet, the lieutenant from the Dayak Empire, and asks why he goes to such lengths to execute the pagans. He recounts that as a child, his father making him a target of ridicule. However, the current king, the Akbi, began allocating slaves to families with war casualties, which turned things around. This angers Yuka, who points out that attacking smaller countries to take slaves is no different from bullying. Canlet threatens her, but Yatsuya and Shindo calm him down. The group find themselves at the foothold of a valley and travel underground, where they encounter a water-operated mechanism that operates the bridge. The Dayak group tell them to go first while they operate it, but it is a trick and the heroes are trapped. The group advance through the dangerous bridge anyway, with Yatsuya leading the way, but he falls down a pit and is trapped. The rest of the group advance without him, as Yatsuya says he will find a way out on his own. However, when the group emerges from the tunnel, they meet face to face with a terrifying golem. Yatsuya climbs out of the pit after using his knife to carve footholds into the stone, while remembering his past as a longer in elementary school. He makes his way through the darkness and finds a log point showing the death of Bimsberg, one of Cable's companions whom Yatsuya befriended. Meanwhile, the heroes on the outside fight the golem, where they see a key hanging by its arm. Cable and Shindo fight the golem, but Cable is killed to Shindo's horror. She turns to retreat, stepping on a vampire bat. Leveling up just before she is killed, her job changes to warrior and she charges the golem. She remembers her training with Cable and she stabs the golem through the heart, killing it. Yatsuya finally arrives, and when he learns Cable has fallen into the water below, he dives after her and begins healing her. She later awakens, having survived her injuries, while Yatsuya collapses from exhaustion. Cable kisses him while he sleeps, and she is seen by the other 3 girls. Cable explains that she and him are alike, trying to find what they are good at in this world and for what purpose they have, so that they can die content with their life. Yatsuya awakens in a fit, and he tells the group that they've been going about the quest all wrong, possibility that the pagans are not the cargo, as all the quests thus far, such as fighting a goblin or helping the village chief's requests, were all open-ended and open to reinterpretation. Yuka says that they should save the pagans anyway. While Yatsuya suggests the group split up, with 7 days left to complete the quest, they split into 2 groups, team composed of Shindo, Hakazaki, and one of Cable's men, Makwa, will find another piece of cargo to transport to Rey Dorbo, while Team B, composed of Cable, Yuka, and Yatsuya, will go and rescue the pagans. Cable informs Yatsuya and Yuka that one of the Dayak soldiers earlier sent report back to their headquarters, and they suspect that the letter may incite a war between Dayak and Cordonal. She wants to avert a war, as they would no doubt be annihilated, and Yatsuya comes up with an idea. They track down the Dayak soldiers and the pagans, and Yatsuya says that only he and Yuka are left alive. He threatens that if they do not release the pagans, then he, an immortal hero, will go around the entire continent and preach the Art Arrow's religion. Canlet and his men know that they stand to lose a lot more if they don't give up the pagans. However, they realize that even though heroes are immortal, they can simply capture them in a cage or a pit. Yuka emerges and offers to show them where Yatsuya is. Canlet and one of his men follow Yuka, while the remaining soldier stands guard. Yuka lures Canlet away while Yatsuya executes his plan. He knocks out the guard and tells the pagans to get rid of their clothes, and they create dummies out of them to make it look like dead bodies. When collateralizes Yuka's deception, they return to their camp only to find it in flame. Yatsuya tells them that he only came back to have revenge for their fallen comrades, and he sets the off guard aflame. He and Yuka steal their last remaining horse and they escape. All according to Yatsu's plan. Canlet will realize his plan to delay the heroes at the cave led to this whole debacle. They return to where the pagans are, and they thank Yatsuya and Yuka for saving them. Later, Yuka asks Yatsuya if he believes the world there and truly is just a game, and she shares her misgivings about having to kill other humans. Even if it is just a game, he replies he's just doing what he thinks is necessary to help Cable avenge her men, which satisfies her for the time being. In an internal model, he remarks that worrying about the deaths of non-player characters is a waste of time. As it is revealed, he dropped 2 levels for killing the Dayak guard. Canlet and one of his men arrive at their abandoned carriage, where they send a letter to the king regarding their failure and of the hero's revenge. However, Cable appears and kills the last of Canlet's men, as Canlet himself is left in a state of confusion over what the truth really is. Cabal tells him to pick up his weapon and fight, and she tells him that the pagans are alive and well, while his subordinate was painfully burned. Bringing him to a state of despair, she cuts him down and executes him. The king has received Camlet's report and now aware that the heroes are against him, instructs a hooded man to find a way to kill him. Meanwhile, Shindo, Hakazaki, and Makua finally find a courier to escort back into Rei Dorbo, but it already has an escort. The man challenges them to a fight, but Shindo defeats him handily and they guard the courier back. Later, Yatsuya, Yuka, and Kabul prepare 3 sets of cargo to deliver to the city. Yuka notices that Kabul appears flustered around Yatsuya, and she guesses that she wants to confess to him. She makes efforts to try and get them alone together on their trick to Rei Dorbo, but all of them fail or backfire. While camping, it turns out that all Kabul wanted to say was to give her thanks to Yatsuya for giving her the opportunity to avenge her men. Much to Yuka's exasperation, their group is the first to arrive at Rei Dorbo, but the first 2 pieces of cargo they deliver, the pagans to the church and the weapons of the slain Dayak soldiers, fail to complete the quest. They give their final piece of cargo, the heads of the slain Dayak soldiers, to the local guards, which is sufficient to clear the first quest. Shindo, Hakazaki, and Makua soon arrive as well, and the group reunites. With only 1 day left, the group splits up to complete the other quests, explore 5% of the map. Yatsuya and the others split up to cover as much ground as possible, and they initially make good progress. Kabul and Makua stay behind at Rei Dorbo, and Kabul reminisces about Yatsuya and their farewell the day before. She misses him, but she decides her place is at the battlefield. She notices that snow has begun falling, and Makua tells her that a blizzard is approaching. The heroes are suddenly met with a furious blizzard and each have moments of self-reflection. Yatsuya is able to bundle up by equipping all his collected tops and is able to keep himself warm, and worries if they are able to clear the last few portions of the map they need within the few hours they have left. He suspects that this time they won't be able to revive, as the revival conditions only happen if they are able to resurrect in a hospitable place. He realizes if they die of hypothermia, then reviving means they simply die of the cold again within seconds. Yaku is left with just her robes and she begins freezing. She longs for a romantic experience, similar to the mobile dating games she plays. She notices she is the only one constantly stopping, so she picks herself up and continues. Kakazaki is also battered by the cold. She is thankful for the experience thus far, as it has given her a chance to do things she's never been able to do before. Shindo is also struggling through the blizzard, but she recalls that her friends are her strength, and when she was initially summoned to this world, she was alone, and so she was robbed of her strength and confidence. Because of this, she is thankful for her friends now and has regained confidence to keep on going. However, disaster strikes. Yaku and Hakazaki have succumbed to the cold, and when Shindo realizes she has been walking in circles for the past few hours, she too falls in despair. Yatsuya is aware they have stopped, and he tries to cover the last few kilometers of ground himself, or else they all die. However, a Yeti appears and attacks him, but he is able to kill it and sees it was simply defending its young. He continues marching, but the ground below him gives way and he falls off a cliff. He fears that this time they might all die for real. Yuko awakens and crafts a makeshift shelter, inspired by a magical girl anime she watched as a child. She begins to travel onwards. She recalls that in order to survive, she clung onto strong individuals, and she sees no reason why this is such a bad thing to do. Meanwhile, Yatsuya died after falling from the cliff, but resurrects after his body ended up in an underground tunnel. He explores the caves, and he is initially afraid of the earthworms that inhabit it, but they turn out to be harmless. Hakazaki realizes that she can no longer revive due to the hypothermia, while Shindo, while running towards the lights of a nearby village, dies after falling through the cracks of a frozen lake. This alarms Yatsuya, but soon he too is killed when he is eaten by a man-eating worm. Yuka is initially in despair when she learns all 3 of them have died with no way of reviving, but she remembers how she badly wanted to be a magical girl in the past. With newfound courage, she casts a heating spell with the last bit of her magic. She is encouraged by the image of a boy from one of her dating simulations, as well as the magical girls from her childhood anime. Just as she is about to reach her wit's end, she is saved by a sorceress riding a white tiger, who sensed her caster heat magic earlier, and she gives her a ride across the tundra. You can realize she only has a few seconds left, and when the sorceress learns she is in a hurry, she casts wind magic that allows them to fly across the sky, clearing the quest just in time. Yatsuya, Shindo, and Yuka are relieved to be alive. Yuka is initially prideful as she cleared the quest, saving everyone, but when the GM appears and is given an opportunity to ask her question, she asks if this world a virtual world or a real one. The GM answers that this world is real, but it is a parallel world. He explains that every choice in human history has given birth to an unlimited number of parallel worlds, meaning that every person and monster in this world is living flesh and blood. Yatsue is paralyzed, realizing that he killed a human being. The group return to the real world where they make use of their experiences and skills from the other world. However, Yatsue remains antisocial due to the trauma from killing a human, though his physical abilities have improved. Yuka has also begun playing light sports, a vast improvement. Shindo is worried about Yatsuya, especially after learning from Yuka that for their plan to save the pagans, he had to kill a person. On the way home, Yatsuya receives a text from the GM asking him what it felt like to kill a person. This troubles him. And when he arrives home, the GM, taking the form of a young girl in a straw hat, is there waiting for him. Yatsuya answers his question by saying that even though the Dai of Empire guards had their reasons for abandoning them in the cave, he still regrets killing one of them, and had he known they were real people, he would have decided against killing them. The GM talks about the next player whom he wants Yatsuya to meet. They go to a Chinese restaurant where the GM informs him that the man sitting by the counter, a drug dealer, will soon be killed by the new player, along with his little brother Shuji. The player's name is Kedatori. 19 years old, he bursts into the restaurant along with his younger brother. Yatsuya defeats them easily and reasons with Kita that killing is wrong. The mafia boss who hired Kita enters the restaurant and threatens Yatsuya with a gun. The GM offers Yatsuya a chance to use his magic from the parallel world here using a magic glove, which he accepts. He uses his mind control magic to stun the mafia boss, knocking him out, but lets Kita and his brother escape. But the GM invites Yatsuya to talk once more. The GM tells him now that Yatsuya stopped a murder. How does he feel about killing another person? Yatsuya says that he is only fighting for his own sense of justice, and he will continue to do so no matter what anyone says. And this brings the anime to an end. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another video. Until next time, take care.